Hey, it's me, TB, and today I'm bringing to you the Finally Fall book tag. I was tagged by Andrew over at Andrew Reads, so thank you for the tag. Let's just jump into the tag. The first question is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Okay, and for this, I'm going to be using Crave by Tracy Wolff. Listen, I know, but this does take place in a castle in the middle of Alaska, and you do really feel like you are in that castle in Alaska because, you know, the weather is a thing that gets brought up a lot, and I don't know, I can just like feel the coldness when they're in the castle, and I feel like I kind of like have a general idea of like how the castle is set up. So I feel like this book does a good job of like setting up the setting, kind of like making you feel like you are in that castle in the middle of Alaska. Why? We don't know, but it is in Alaska. So this book, we are following Grace, who is sent to this school in the middle of Alaska after her parents died because her uncle is like the headmaster there. And while there, she basically figures out that this school is a school for supernatural creatures. Surprise, surprise. And she ends up having this like romance of sorts with one of the like head vampire guys. There you go. That's a very brief synopsis. Obviously this book is like super thick, but the text is pretty big, and the chapters are all like 1 page long, so it goes by faster than you would think. So the next question is, nature's beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. And for this, I'm talking about Dance from the Dance by Andrew Halloran. I read this I think 2 years ago now. I'm pretty sure I read this when I was on BookTube, but I might have not, who knows. So basically, this book deals with gay life in New York in the like mid to late 1970s. I feel like one of the reasons this book is like so heavy is because like how like dark and like sad the general life is. Like they do have like happy moments. There's like an overall feeling of like sadness. Like part of that is because we are reading this in the present. This was written in like 1977, I think. Yeah, it was published in 1978. So kind of like depressing thing about how hard their life was back then, and we aren't even at the AIDS crisis yet. So it's like your life is just gonna get worse. It's kind of like sad because of that, but also because of like how this book is like, or I guess like what the story is telling, I guess, is also kind of why it's sad, because we are following the adventures of Malone, who is kind of like new to New York at the start, so it becomes kind of like the focus of everyone in New York, and then stuff ensues, and it gets kind of like sad from there. So great. For sure, I ended up giving this 5 stars when I read it back then. So there you go. So the next question is, fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. And for that, I'm talking about Abraham Lincoln and the Second American Revolution by James A. McPherson. I had to read this for like one of my history classes that I took like last semester. But this book is all about essentially how we tend to view Lincoln as like very like peaceful president and like kind of like a chill dude, but in actuality, his entire presidency was during a war. So he's literally more of like a wartime figure than we would traditionally assume. And this book is basically arguing that fact that he's probably one of the like most like war-heavy presidents because his entire presidency was literally during a wartime. So a lot of his actions are more focused on the war than you would traditionally think if you are an American, I guess. So the next question is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family / household / friend group that you would like to be a part of. Now listen, this question was hard because in most of my books, people like die a lot, or they're in danger a lot, or their lives kind of suck. So this is hard to think about. But I'm going to go very generally, and I'm going to say the Shadow Hunters. Now listen, they are fighting demons, but like no one ever dies. That's like important. So hopefully, I would be important, so I wouldn't die. Besides that, like generally speaking, like yeah, the vibes are like dangerous, but they also have a lot of like ways to heal people. So even then, like maybe I won't die. You know what I mean? Thinking over everyone else that like isn't like YA. Like no one else is like safe a lot, or the cast isn't like as close as I would like. So it's like I don't really want to be a part of any of your lives because they're all really dangerous anyway. And in like Shadowhunters, you don't have to be on the front lines. I don't think, because there's also always that, you know. So yeah, that's my reasoning. Basically, like yeah, it's dangerous, but also like they can heal you and fix you, so you're good, you know. And sure, you might, you know, make out and almost fuck your half brother, but you know that's just par for the course. So the next question is, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall colored spines. But I have this And there's red at the top, there's some yellow, there's some orange, and then there's brown at the bottom. As you can see, it's a very chaotic stack, so I'm not gonna hold it up forever, but here you go. So 6, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. And for this, I have Kiss of the Spider Woman by Manuel Puig. I think I should have a review of this sometime in the future going up, because this was a pick for my Queer All Year book club. So yeah, basically in this book, we are basically in a jail cell with 2 people, Melina and Valentin, and they're both in prison for different reasons, but they kind of like chill and they talk and they become closer over the course of the novel. And in this book, they're like kind of like, I guess like, I don't want to say interludes, they're kind of like a break from the overall plot, wherein Melina kind of like recounts a movie that he saw, and we get like a general like plot overview of that movie. I think there are like 5 or 6 movies told in this book, so that's pretty cool. And I think they're all based on like real movies too, so that's pretty cool, I guess. So next is question 7. The nights are getting darker, very dark / creepy read. And for this, I'm going with Beloved by Toni Morrison. I'm going on this because of the fact that this is pretty like dark and heavy, because this is dealing with the life of our main character who escapes being enslaved, and while she has made this new life after the Civil War, she's still haunted by the trauma of what happened to her and to her friends and family when they were still enslaved. And this is mostly, and like a main part of the plot of the book is that her home is haunted by the spirit of one of her dead children, and the plot kind of like spirals out from there. And this book does obviously deal with a lot of like trauma from being enslaved, as well as like just what life would have been like for people even if they did escape. Like it wasn't all like happy times. There are like happier moments in this, but it's still like an overall very like, I guess like a darker tone to the story. So 8 is The Days Are Getting Colder, in a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. And for this, I'm kind of recommending a series because it is like a elementary school, like early middle grade series. That is The Mighty Muskrats by Michael Hutchinson. And so in the series, they're all basically pretty short, like mysteries, following this group of First Nations children. And all the kind of like mysteries aren't like dark and serious ones. Like they are like important. They aren't like murders, you know? And so like when these come out, I always read them in like one day because they're all just like so fun to just kind of like go through, you know? And of course they always end like happily with everything being resolved. So yeah, it's always like a quick, fast read. It's gonna make me like feel some level of joy, you know? And this is book 3. There are the first 2 books, which I will link at least one down below, I hope. And I think book 4 is coming out next year at some time. So the next question is, fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you would like to return to. And for that, I'm going to talk about The Body in the Garden, Catherine Shellman. I read this, I think, last year, maybe. And the next book in this series came out this year, but haven't gotten to it yet. This is a historical mystery that deals with our main character, Lily Adler, who is a recently widowed woman who is returning to London. And while there, she's at a party and someone is killed in the garden, obviously. So she decides to investigate who killed them and why, and stuff ensues from there. I remember really liking this when I read it back then. So obviously I want to continue on in the series. First, I should probably reread just in case, because I kind of forget what like character dynamics are like. So I think I do have to reread this at some point. So yeah, so the last question that I'm going to be doing, there's like a question 11, but it's just the like, you know, tag someone, and I don't tag people, so fuck the rules, you know. But question 10 is, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories, quote unquote. So my favorite bookish accessory is probably my bookmarks, because it's all I really have, you know. And this one I got from Sundry Words over on Etsy, which I'll link down below. And it is a quote from Persuasion. You pierce my soul. I'm half agony, half hope. I have loved none but you. So, you know, I am, you know, a Persuasion simp, so I had to get this. So yeah, that's all I really have in terms of like accessories. So there you go. And that's all from me. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe, like, share, all that, and hopefully I will see you next week.